Cider. Hello everybody, my name is Psyduck, otherwise known as TheDramaticOtaku, and welcome to the May and June Weeb wrap-up. Now, don't talk about this wig and how it doesn't match my skin tone or doesn't fucking match me, because yellow and blonde are not my colours. My blonde wig may or may not fit my head anymore. Just jumping into it, if you do not know what the Weeb wrap-up is, it is my bi-monthly review series, as in I do it every 2 months, and it is the series in which I review all of the anime and manga that I have read throughout the previous 2 months. I usually do it in cosplay, and before we get into it, spoilers ahead for every single series that I talk about, as this is a review series. Now, to start with May anime, nothing. I was on such a good run in the last 2 months. Nothing. But we do have a fair amount of manga. Well, a fair amount as in I read a lot of volumes. And I do mean a lot of volumes. All of them just fell down. This is all of the manga that I read, and you may notice something is that a lot of them is from the one particular series. So we're going to talk about this one first. This is Rainbows After the Storm. Now, if you've seen one of my previous Weeb wrap-ups where I talked about the two of them are pretty much just like this is a very similar story. The main difference is that the two protagonists are in high school, not in college. They are best friends, and they are in a romantic relationship that they do not want to share with their friends. So, this is really cute. It does give me similar vibes to the two of them are pretty much like this. That's why it's sort of like this is a very similar series. I ended up giving this one a 7 out of 10. I thought it was really cute. I liked it a lot. This is probably a series I'm going to continue. I kept seeing it on shelves and being like, I need it. It's gay. I need it. And I ended up getting it. So I'm happy with it. I really love it. And I'm going to continue reading it. Now moving on to this abomination of a series. Midnight Secretary. Now, why is number 1 over here? This is the actual color coordination. Don't be fooled by the fact that this is rainbow. This is a very straight series, but you would be fooled. Indeed. So this is a full series review of Midnight Secretary, and I haven't actually done this for a while. I was originally going to do this as a read and review, however, with the only other series that I have consumed in May, I would have only had Rainbow After the Storms, so Midnight Secretary, haven't done this in a while. Now, don't be fooled by the very colourful spines of the covers. Midnight Secretary is a straight office vampire romance, and I spent a total of 2 days reading the entire series. I ended up buying volumes 1 through 4 because originally I had volumes 5 through 7 because I bought this back in the dark ages where I actually trusted Booktopia before they fucked me over. So I got these really cheap, and I was like, I'm so tired of collecting series that I just never finished, and when I found out this was the final volume, I'm like, fuck it, let's buy the first 4 volumes. This will be a mega review of all volumes and the full story, not volume by volume like I've done with One Dance or I've done with Mao, not that sort of stuff at the moment. For the most part, the beginning of the story had me twiddling my toes, kicking my feet, and giggling. I fully went in not knowing this was a vampire romance, and I feel like with the name Midnight Secretary, that should have been more obvious to me. But no, I'm just that dense. It's got a dark romance, early 2000s shoujo, yaoi hands epidemic, trashy vampire romance kind of vibe, and I was living for that. I loved that. The base plot revolves around our protagonist Kaya, who recently became a secretary of the big boss, executive director Kyohei. A man who not only works in the late afternoon to evening, has an aversion to direct sunlight, and a total playboy with multiple lovers. That Kaya accidentally walks in to find that he steals blood from. That Kaya accidentally walks in to find whoops, Kyohei is actually a vampire. And the reason he has multiple lovers isn't for sex, isn't for joy, but is for food. just so happens that a human's blood tastes the best when you're nearing climax, and is apparently its most fragrant. That phrase sticks to this book like a bad smell. And due to a series of events, Kyohei gets put into a position where he needs to feed on Kaya, and the drama commences. When Kyohei becomes obsessed with only drinking from Kaya, because despite being a lower class woman, rude, and his secretary, her blood tastes the best. A delicacy. That is literally what she calls herself. The first half of the series definitely has more of the better plot points and weight to it. Volume 2 has the development of the obsessed vampire not boyfriend with all the juicy romance. Volume 3 has some like Twilighty vibes because it's one of those plots with a lot of love interests. Because it's one of those plots where the love interest like leaves for a long period of time and then coming back later, a bit like I think it's actually the first Twilight film that does that. I don't know. I just remember fucking Edward being away for a long time, and that just reminded me of that in here, which started pissing me off when it led into volume 4. At some point, Kaya says the thing that she is the midnight secretary, which at some point becomes code for girlfriend, but you're not my girlfriend, but you're my thing. Hated that. Really quite disappointed.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Kaya in volume 4 then gets a second love interest, Takatsu, the executive director of a subsidiary of the company that she works at. However, Kyohei also gets a secondary love interest / not love interest weird relationship in Marika. And I found in romance, I like it when the love interest has to fight for the protagonist, but the second that the protagonist has to fight for the love interest with someone else, I fucking hate it. I hated it in, I think it was Love Me, Love Me Not. I hated it in this. There is another series I hated it in, and it was in another shoujo novel. Hate that trope. Hate it. Especially if it's later in the story to cause drama. Not that either relationship really goes anywhere, which is sad because I really would have loved to see more Takatsu content, because Takatsu deserves the world. He's like, I kind of love him, because he was just planning his future with Kaya, and she was just like, I really want to go back to my abusive vampire boyfriend boss. Thank you. Volumes 4 to 5 is where shit really gets annoying, as it's very, very repetitive, with Kaya denying her own feelings and saying that she is just his secretary. When at this point, we are far beyond that point. At this point, it is devolving into a borderline emotionally abusive relationship because neither of them can actually confront their own fucking feelings. And Kyohei can be a man-child, but his character does soften a little bit in demeanor when he does actually confront his feelings in volumes 6 and 7. The last 2 volumes surrounds the forbidden aspect of them being in love because Kyohei is a vampire and is in this clan that really hates Kaya because she is a human. And in one chapter, you have them saying Kyohei and Kaya can never have a family, they can never get married, and Kaya is, quote, coming to terms with that. And then when I was reading volume 6, the way I fucking turned the page and then saw the chapter title, Having a Baby, out of pure spite, I wanted them to have a shotgun wedding and have the child and get this series over and done with, because at this point it was dragging at this point. I already said that. Luckily for me, that did end up happening. I'm so smart and so lucky. Luckily for me, that did end up happening in a roundabout way, with many of a stumble and a trip. I am whelmed with the ending. It stumbles and trips a lot, but I'm okay with it. Vaguely satisfied. I would have liked more romantic scenes than tense ones. I would have liked Kyohei to round out to being a softer, you know, sensitive boyfriend a lot earlier. I would have liked Marika to not be a bitch. If I had to summarize this series, it would easily be called Vampire Situationship. And I hate that word because what the fuck is that? I liked the beginning because it was trashy vampire office romance, but the way the story just dragged really had me frustrated. There are things that I wish got dragged out more, like Takasu being a viable love interest for Kaya and not just being, you know, vaguely there for one volume. How Kaya could potentially actually see herself with Takasu instead of Kyohei, and how that threatens Kyohei, and not the opposite in which that happened with Kaya and Marika. I hate that so much. Marika being I would have also loved, speaking of Marika, I would have loved seeing Marika being a toxic lesbian instead of her eventually getting a straight love interest, because she absolutely had mean lesbian vibes. And Kyohei being, as I said, less of an asshole for more of the series, because in essence, I can understand the behavioral, in essence, I can understand the behavioral choices for the series, for the story, for the plot. But that doesn't mean I actually liked them. And I feel like that is something more people should think about regarding fiction, because I see a lot of people just like excusing behaviors in fiction, being like, well, this is the only way this character would have reacted in the story, in the moment. This is the only way that the character would have reacted. It made sense to the character. Cool. I didn't like it still. I could still not like it. I understand Kyohei's a dick because he's a vampire. Still don't like it. Would have loved for him to be, you know, soft, loving, caring, a little bit fucking earlier. I gave this entire series a 6 out of 10 because I can't say that for a decent chunk I wasn't entertained. I liked the first 2 volumes more than I hated them, but my joy waned further in the series that I did progress. So 6 out of 10 for Midnight Secretary. I do like the decorum, so it is going to sit on that shelf. But that is all actually for my May manga. And now we move into June manga. Now, I have a lot of anime in June. I feel like I can make up for the awful Yori cosplay in my gay manga and what's it called? March? Weeb wrap up? In one of the Weeb wrap ups, but specifically my gay manga, because this is Mitsuki from the guy she was interested in wasn't a guy at all. I'm not sure how I feel about the eyelashes, but I think they're actually protecting me from the wig hair. Now, we're starting with June manga solely because I read one series and it's one of my 3 Lifeline Yuris. Now, when I'm reviewing one of my Lifeline Yuris, I must cosplay one of my Lifeline Yuris, and now that I actually have a good wig, I might be able to cosplay Kanon, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to, much like my, what was it called? Midnight Secretary review, have to review all 4 of these together. Oh, sorry, all 3 of these together. Volume 4 is there. Solely because I thought I wrote separate reviews and then I didn't. I wrote about a sentence for each. So, because I didn't write separate reviews, I will be reviewing volumes 4, 5, and 6 of The Moon on a Rainy Night all together. Now, I do plan to get more volumes of it, just like how I still plan to get volume 9 of Whisper Me a Love Song, and like how I plan to get volume 3 of The Guy She Liked Wasn't a Guy at All. It's a lot. The Moon on a Rainy Night, volumes 4 to 6. Now, in volume 4, there is one new character introduced, Tomita. And initially we hate her until her just sudden character development in volume 6. She becomes deaf in one ear, and while I'm glad her villainy suddenly gets cut, because this character was planning or was trying to fuck with Kanon and trying to be a bitch to Kanon, I like that her villainy very suddenly gets cut within the span of 3 volumes. I'm glad her villainy suddenly gets cut within 3 volumes. And how she as a character is mainly there to demonstrate to Saki and to other characters how much Kanon has changed as a character because of Saki's help. The overarching, like, plot going on between volumes 4 to 6 is the school festival with Kanon and Saki conducting and playing the piano for the class choir. So I believe this starts in volume 4, continues through to volume 5, and then in volume 6 they are on summer break, which is why there's a bunch of fireworks and they're wearing yukata, all that sort of stuff. Love that. With there being more like specific character growth in volume 4, a small build of like a little bit of gay in volume 5, where there's barely any in volume 4, and in volume 6 is where the real gay shit starts happening. With Kanon beginning to look a little more outside herself and her own feelings, she wonders what Saki feels, which leads her to the stereotypical summer festival, which leads to the end of summer and that's the wrong volume, which leads to the end of summer and Saki and Kanon celebrating at the summer festival. Now, Kanon would have a little bit of a tough time at a summer festival understanding and talking to Saki. Saki and Kanon celebrate the summer festival at Saki's house as not to overwhelm Kanon. And during the fireworks, instead of the like stereotypical romance kiss like you would have seen in With Me a Love Song, this volume I was totally baited into thinking that happened. But no, Saki's just mouthing something to Kanon, but Kanon suddenly starts to have some really odd feelings about Saki. Took her fucking long enough, 6 volumes, and we get this one inkling, this tiny little seed that Kanon might have feelings for Saki, but she just doesn't know it yet. Love that. This one-sided Yuri has now, in a way, become requited. I cannot wait for the next volume. Personally, in terms of actual rankings for each volume, I know this is a bit of a muddled review, but you will see my anime reviews. I gave volume 4 a 7 out of 10, same with volume 5, and I gave volume 6 an 8 because I just want to read more. I just want to read more. Now, we move into June anime. I know May anime was but a disappointment, but June I was given the task by Mia to watch Higurashi. So, I watched Higurashi and Higurashi Kai solely so I can understand Umineko. I know it's a bit much, but I spent about a week and a half watching the entire Higurashi series. I know there is a new Higurashi on Crunchyroll, which I might watch now that I've finished Higurashi, but I did record my Higurashi reviews separately, so I will let you watch those and then we can come back for the rest of June anime. Are you gonna be a good girl? That's so the scissors. No, you can't eat the beads, nor can you eat Higurashi. Are you gonna sit? Are you sat? And shall you listen? She is sad, so you shall be as well. So, Higurashi, season 1. I'm doing a little special video, where I review things my friends have recommended it to me. However, the one thing that Mia wants to recommend to me is Umineko. Apparently, you need to have watched Higurashi to understand Umineko. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm very scared to watch Umineko, or not watch. She does not want me to watch Umineko. She wants me to either read or play the game for Umineko, but I hadn't watched Higurashi before. That's not to say that I haven't watched scenes before, because with Higurashi, it was surprisingly in a lot of old like YouTube anime cracks. When certain moments popped up on screen, I felt like I had been awakened like a sleeper agent. Because I was like, I recognize that scene. Most of them were regarding Mion. Don't show your butthole on camera for free. I did not raise you like this. A lot of those moments involved Mion, which, like, I kind of love Mion. Mion's like one of my favorite characters. I think she's really fun. But a couple also involved Reina, and specifically there is one scene in the first episode of the final arc in which she says that, I think it's Rika, she says Rika is really cute. And that audio clip, to explain in like old anime cracks, to transition between each like skit or video clip, they would usually use like a cute girl sound. One often used was "do-do-do," which was from Steins Gate, and it's something that I keep stimming for like from years after I've watched these. I've never watched Steins Gate. It is a series that I do need to watch, just like I was with Higurashi. But this one clip of Reina saying that Rika was cute was used as a transition sound, and when I heard it in the exact tone, I just went, I was like shook, and I told that to Mia. So this is the entire first season. I have the physical one because this is Mia's copy, because I couldn't find this anywhere. I couldn't find it online. I could only find the new Higurashi, which I will watch after watching the second season of Higurashi. Old Higurashi, couldn't find this anywhere, could find this everywhere, haven't watched this yet. We're not talking about her, we're talking about her. I really liked this. It gave me vibes of Shinsakayori, which we will talk about in a second, because my gripes with Shinsakayori, I have this similar gripes with this. And before you listen to anything, Shinsakayori is one of my favorite anime. There is just one big thing that I don't like about it, and she's gone. She also hates it. You're sitting on scissors! There's one big thing about Shinsakayori which I hate, and it makes me not be able to recommend that series to anyone, because it's like, no, you shouldn't have to sit through that. I shouldn't have had to sit through that. But I was stubborn, so I watched the rest of the fucking anime and actually ended up enjoying it. That's the same with this. There is certain parts that make me go, why am I watching this? What is this? I don't like this. But the rest of the series, the mystery of this series, I really like, and it's really interesting. It is MA15+. This is a horror series. It is gore. It is psychological horror. There is supernatural horror as well. But in essence, without spoiling too much, there's like a death time loop going on in this series. And even that is a major fucking spoiler. With this, there is this town of Hinamizawa, and this boy Keiichi transfers to Hinamizawa. He becomes friends with this group of girls, Reina, Mina, Rika, and Satoko. Of note, Rina and Satoko are like 10 years old. Because they're in such a small like country town, they are like all put together in one classroom. I think the oldest character is Mion, and then Reina and Keiichi are the same age, and then Rika and Satoko are much younger than them. They're like around 10 years old. So there are odd goings on in this series. Small town in the country, that type of shit. They have this festival called the Cotton Drifting Festival, which is this sort of religious festival they have around a local, like, god, deity thing. What happens is every year on this festival, one person dies, one person goes missing. In the world of Higurashi, in this rendition of Higurashi, because this takes place in 1983 for some reason, in this rendition of Higurashi, the two people that die, one is a photographer, one is a, like, fucking creative writer. I don't know. I don't know what she was. Her, like, story kind of changed every single time there was a loop. And the reason I'm so comfortable in saying there was a loop is because the first arc is one loop, the second arc is a different loop, the third arc is a different loop, but then, like, the fourth one is the second one from a different character's perspective, and then the last one is also a different fucking loop. The first half of the series only gives you questions. And you're left going, what the fuck am I watching? The second half starts to give you a little bit of confirmation. There's this one arc that's only 2 episodes, and it pretty much gives you answers for one of the previous arcs. The arc that is like the second arc from a different character's perspective gives you answers on the second arc, and the final arc actually gives you answers from the first arc. So it's it's a little bit confusing, but now you know why it's really hard to, like, review this series. What I liked about this, I liked the mystery, the gore, the, like, I guess shock factor of Higurashi. It's very, very interesting and very intriguing. I watched the entire series within a week, and I beaded all the way through Higurashi. All of these are little projects I did when beading for Smash, and that's not the only thing. By this time, Mia will have received her birthday present, but I also was making Mia's birthday present during Higurashi, and this was half of the season's worth because I was trying to figure out how to beat a fish, and then this was the rest of that half of the season's worth. So I was beating all the way through Higurashi. And I say that because I did blank out on a couple of points, but I have the general consensus. As I said, someone dies, someone goes missing, and it starts all this shit pretty much happening in the town from these kids' perspectives. In one arc, Keiichi murders Mion and Reina. In another arc, Mion is half demon and tries to kill pretty much everyone. In another arc, Satoko's brother Satoshi, who is for majority of the series an off-screen character until, like, the 5th arc. The 3rd arc is all about Satoko, her family, and it ends with pretty much the entire town dying, but only Keiichi surviving. And then 6th arc is essentially the before and after of the of the previous arc. 5th arc is recapping arc 2, but from a different character's perspective, a character that I won't say because I don't want to spoil it. As I said, last arc recaps the 1st arc. So much goes on, and I'm still confused about some things, but apparently that gets answered in a big plot twist in this this series, this half. Now, what did I not like about Higurashi? There are some things I do like and some things I don't like. I like, and this is a spoiler, this character. First of all, this is one of the 10-year-olds. She, like, is this kind of deity thing, or is at least a mouthpiece for the deity in the series. I like that when she's like speaking as a mouthpiece, she has a very adult voice. When she's a kid, she has a very kid voice. I like the way that the characters change when they're going fucking crazy. What I don't like is that how the female characters are sexualized. So you know how I said 2 characters are 10 years old and they're all in school and have a school room that they're all underage. At most, I think Mion is like 16, 17-ish. I would give a guess that Mion is probably 16 at the oldest, and that means like that Keiichi is probably 15, same with Reina, but Rika and Satoko are like 10. I don't appreciate that Satoko has like semi-developed boobs and that it is highlighted at points. I don't like that Mion, whenever she's in like a little slip dress, her boobs are like very evident. And I don't like, you can see with Rika, she's wearing a slip dress on the cover. This is probably the most covered she's like looks in a slip dress. Because anytime she's drawn in a slip dress, it's like partially falling off her shoulder or it's like a little bit too big on her. And it's weird. I don't like that and it makes me feel yucky. Don't like it. So, I'm gonna give Higurashi When They Cry. I'm going to give it a 7 because I do really like the plot. I do really like the concept of the series, the mystery of the series. I like horror, I like psychological horror, I like body horror. There's a lot of that. Do not like the element where it's sexualizing its minor characters. So that's why it gets a 7. I probably would give it an 8, but that just sticks into my head so badly. This gets a 7. Not a massive fan of the sexualizing aspect, but we'll see what happens with Higurashi Kai, because I think that'll be the last of the anime for June. So I know in the last section I said I'd try and limit spoilers. There will be spoilers in this section, so if you want to skip it, here's the timestamp. Okay, continuing. Okay, so second season, Higurashi Kai. I was so ready for this series to be done halfway through, and I'm not saying that because I didn't like it. I'm saying that because I loved it. First things first, I just stated in the Higurashi before that there was like a part, in the art style, it felt like they were doing a bit too much. As in they were like sexualizing minors. They stopped that shit in season 2. Thank fuck. So, I can now get over that and talk about the rest of the story. So, this is the sort of like answers to all the questions. Whereas like the first arc, put it this way, there is actually like a visual novel for Higurashi. I will not be playing it. I've heard that is a lot. So, we're not going to be playing Higurashi, but first half, from everything that Mia's told me as well, first half is always the questions, second half is always the answers. This is the answers, and one of the things is that the season kind of fakes us out on who the protagonist is until this half. The protagonist of Higurashi is Rika. Rika is the main character. And with Rika being the main character, you may be wondering, well, why is Keiichi the main character for X, Y, and Z? And then you've got Shion and Mion and all that sort of stuff. And then you've also got Reina. She's also a main character. Actually, we were seeing the story from, I guess, the perspective of Hanyu. Hanyu is technically the goddess. She's like the goddess of the shrine that Rika is a priestess of. And so technically she's like the goddess of Hinamizawa. But she's not the one cursing everyone, and that's what we find out in the answers. The answers are the whole time loop thing is 100% correct. And that's because Hanyu and Rika reset time every time Rika dies so that they can try and avoid the tragedy of Hinamizawa. But they don't know what the fuck's happening, how it keeps happening, that sort of stuff, or how to fix it. Until until the, I want to say, first main arc of series 2. Pretty much, yes. The second main arc of series 2, which is the first, like, big core section of this. The part where I really thought the series was going to end and then it didn't, because I was like, excuse me, what do you mean this hasn't ended yet? Pretty much, the big main arc of the first half of the series is Rika going through a time loop and things are different. People, the main cast is remembering stuff and things are different, and Rika nearly survives because she gets killed every time there is a cotton drifting festival. She, at the very start of the season, has no hope that it will free her from her fate, and that's a big thing in this season, fate. But then in the like second main arc of the first part, this is when things keep changing and Rika suddenly has hope again, and she nearly survives. A lot of things change. She has hope in her friends, that sort of stuff. And at that point in the series, I was so ready for it to end and be like, yes bitch, get out of this time loop, we can do this together, this is amazing. And then she died. I also then looked at the episode list and realized there was like 10 episodes left. So let me just say, I never liked Takono. I thought she was always weird. And to find out she's behind everything. Now, I dislike that they made me feel sorry for her at the end of the series. Dislike that, because I really just want to hate someone. But Takono being the reason everything is happening makes so much sense, and makes sense as to why she and I think it's Tomitake, who is so America Hitalia coded, by the way, those two die every time, because she doesn't. She just kills him. Fantastic. Love that. Anyway, in the second half, pretty much the final arc of Higurashi is the one where Rika survives and she gets to live her life, and that's love it. Now, did I dislike the fact that it went from this total supernatural horror to it being government bad again? Not necessarily, actually. Usually, I hate that so much because it's always some government conspiracy and it's always this, that, and the third. This time I actually really liked it because you still had the supernatural fucking element. You still had the time loops, you still had this, that, and the third. It's not just one big government conspiracy. I honestly liked this a lot more than the first season, and I liked the first season a fair amount. I'm gonna give this one probably an 8. 8.5. 8.5. I think it gets an 8.5 out of 10 solely because I smashed out 13 episodes in one day. I have not done that in a while. And then it took me about, I would say 3 days. 3 days to watch the entire season, whereas it took me a week to watch the first season. And that's just because of how much more engaged I was in this season than I was the previous one. Sure, I liked the gore aspect of the previous season and how many questions are, like, posed. Obviously, I wouldn't enjoy this season without the first season. I just like this one more because it's stringed along together a little more cohesively. We follow more so one person than an entire group of people. So yeah, I generally liked this one a lot more. Do I have any other notes? And yes, Mia, this is tea. I've already had my coffee. I really loved the Higurashi seasons. I will probably be buying this one on eBay because I can find it. I can actually find it. For some reason, I can't find the first one. But I will also probably be watching the new Higurashi to see if they've sort of changed anything, because I know I've had a couple YouTube videos analysing Mion and Shion because they are my favourite characters, and know that apparently a lot of Mion's arc is missing from the visual novel and stuff like that, so I'll see what the new Higurashi has to offer. But yeah, I also discovered that I can't just sit down and watch anime without doing some form of craft. So, in terms of June anime, I actually want to continue on with shouting out the Finishing Scheme, which is a movie. It is not an anime. But Mia actually made me go to this movie with her because we were meeting up and we're like, oh my god, girls' day, let's go to a movie. So while I didn't quite understand it, I liked the theme of found family being your true family and the quirkiness of it all. It was really a treat on the eyes and a film student's wet dream. 7.8 out of 10, I really liked it. Next is This Boy Caught a Mermaid. Now, this is an OVA similar to This Boy Can Fight Aliens, which I reviewed back in April. A gay anime in Pride Month? Who'da thunk? This was animated slightly better than the former short, and once again, I like that it's more implicit as a BL and focuses more on the main character Shima's own struggles. There is more suggestive elements in this OVA compared to the previous one I talked about, with it being a little more outright gay, but I'm pretty much indifferent to it, much like the prior This Boy OVA. So I also gave this one a 5 out of 10, much like the prior short. This one also technically isn't anime, but I feel like I would be shot if I did not talk about Kpop Demon Hunters. Yes, I watched the new Sony animated movie Kpop Demon Hunters that came out on Netflix. Leisha made me sit down and watch it because I said I wouldn't watch it until after I finished Higurashi, which didn't end up happening. She organized a movie night, and so me, her, and Emma all watched it together. I'm gonna give you most of my thoughts and opinions, but first of all, I will actually give you my due diligence as a reviewer and give you the plot. Huntrix is a demon fighting girl group whose plan it is to seal the Honmun, a protective barrier between the earth and the demon world. Gima, the demon king, sends the Saja boys, a boy band of demons, to fight Huntrix at their own game, singing and being idols, to destroy the world. With a side plot of romance and a hidden secret, Huntrix saved the day. There will be spoilers, but I don't want to spoil too much. I am going to give my opinions as well as some of my headcanons for the members regarding who their IRL counterparts could be, because it is a big topic of conversation of a lot of K-pop fans being like, actually, I think
this member of the Saja Boys is based off of this K-pop idol.
So, in terms of the movie was fun and super animated, like all good cartoon features should be. I really like a lot of Netflix animated features, even if they're not by the same studios, which 9 out of 10 times they're not. Generally, there's a lot of really creative movies, animes, all that sort of stuff, from Nimona to Over the Moon, Bubble. I really loved this animation-wise, and the animation also gave me Into Spider-Verse vibes. But in a post-Spider-Verse world, that unique style of animation is the bar for good, unique movies, and it does also come from Sony Animations. Which is to say, where's the next Spider-Verse? Anyway, in terms of the actual plotline of Kpop Demon Hunters, I found the story quite generic. But I will say the twist of Rumi being half demon did genuinely get me. Listen, I know when I say it's generic, pretty much I've watched a lot of battle anime and a lot of battle anime, fighting anime, shonen anime. The whole plot point of fighting things and swearing you'll destroy them, but actually either becoming them or being them, and then overcoming them and the power of friendship, that sort of stuff, extremely common in anime. So it is it's just a hero's journey type shit. It is very, very common. So the actual plot points and story beats make a lot of sense and are very, very generic, as well as the K-drama aspect, because there is parody of K-drama. I mean, where there is parody, there is truth. So it's A lot of the plot points it was expected, like pretty generic for a film. I personally don't understand like the fanfare of wanting one of the characters to get revived. Like, yes, he's a good character, he deserves maybe more, but I felt his ending was very much the right course of action. I won't explain who it is or what happens if you haven't already been spoiled for it, but it makes sense. I don't see why he needs to be revived. And admittedly, the ending was also very whelming. I don't know if I was like expecting a performance or something, seeing as it started with a performance, or what, but for it to end so abruptly after the climax of the movie, it just left a lot wanting to be answered and wanting to be thought about. I kind of wanted like a proper epilogue for Huntrix. That's not to say I didn't like the film. I liked it a lot. It was really, really fun, really energetic, and it is a good fun watch. It's just that it's very basic. Like, we were talking to Mia after the film because she had to do something else, and she guessed the ending of the film like that without even having had watched the film. That is how like easy it is to guess what happens. That's not saying that it's not a fun film. I really liked it. I thought it was really funny. I had a good time. Just because something is a bit simplistic in the plotline doesn't mean you can't have fun. And I think that's why there's so much hype around this film, because it's fun. And because it's got K-pop in it, which is my favorite part of the movie. Which is my favorite part of the movie. I find it funny that I'm dressed as a girl who likes, like, bands and likes a lot of non-pop music, and I'm talking about K-pop. Obviously, my favorite part of the film is that it's K-pop. It was clearly a movie made for K-pop fans, which I do love. There's a lot of Korean culture imbued into the film. Now, I do get to talk about the part that I really, really wanted to talk about. First of all, the songs. Love Me Right, Black Suit, and Strategy was a fucking jump scare. And also how rude for them to cut off Love Me Right at the best part.
Shorty, I'ma party till the sun down.
The original songs were pretty good, and Leisha keeps trying to put Soda Pop in my head because I said it really didn't stick and I instantly forgot it. Because every time I try and remember the song, the only song that comes to my head is Astro's Candy Sugar Pop, which has been actually stuck in my head instead. But instead of Soda Pop being my favorite song of the entire film, my favorite song is Your Idol, which has actually sort of exploded in popularity as compared to Soda Pop in the real world. So I guess the Saja Boys win, and my soul would have been taken. Then is my personal headcanons. These are my personal headcanons. Personal headcanons! Leave below yours in the comments down below. I really want to know what yours are. But these are my personal headcanons about which K-pop groups Huntrix and Saja Boys remind me of. Now, the director actually stated there were specific K-pop groups that she used for inspiration for the characters. However, Huntrix reminds me of KDA rather than any like real life K-pop artists. From the styling to the flow of their songs to the fact that they both have a slash in the middle of their name, as well as the use of real singers to be their vocals instead of the actors that play them. It's what's done for like all of the League of Legends groups, but because KDA is the longest running and the most popular, I cannot shake Huntrix and KDA being the same. There is also like visual similarities between them, specifically for Rumi, and I cannot remember the member of KDA because I don't play League of Legends. Whereas for the Saja Boys, I could definitely get the vibe of a couple different K-pop groups, with obviously the main one being ATEEZ. Using the groups that the director actually gave, I made a headcanon on which member of the Saja Boys could have been inspired by which idol, as well as one alternate for each group, for each member. Now, I'll put on screen the groups that apparently influenced the Saja Boys, but these are my personal headcanons. So, first is Romance Saja, this being Felix from Stray Kids, mainly because of their hair. Abs Saja, I think everyone at this point agrees it's San from ATEEZ. There is no wiggle room, except maybe Wonho from Monster X. Maybe. Now, Jinu, I know Jinu is actually like modeled off of 2 real life actors by the fact that he's like the frontman of the group, and that like he's the heartthrob, that he's like the main vocalist. I got Jungkook from BTS. Straight up, I got Jungkook, and I'm like, that is Jeon Jungkook. I'm fucking up his name. As someone who was an army in the peak of BTS, that is Jungkook. Anyway, I've never said that man's name out loud before. I've only ever texted it. Mystery Saja. I have not seen anybody bring up Daesung from Big Bang. I have seen nobody bring up Daesung from Big Bang. Did nobody? Clearly people watched Bang Bang Bang. Did you not see? That is the only right answer in my head. maybe a member of SHINee, but the director said Big Bang, so I'm saying it's Daesung from Big Bang. Baby Saja is either Joohyun or I.M from Monster X, because the flow that he does is very, very similar to both Joohyun and I.M. I've had people compare both of them to him, so I really think it can go either way. I'm honestly in the middle of those two, because originally I was like, yes, that's Joohyun, he acts just like Joohyun. But then someone side by side played I.M rapping and Baby Saja rapping, and I'm like, shit, that's the same flow. So it has to be one of the rappers from Monster X, and there's no room. No wiggle room. No wiggle room. Baby Saja is absolutely one of the Monster X rappers. Mystery Saja is Daesung from Big Bang. You cannot convince me otherwise. Jinu is Jungkook. Ab Saja is San, and Romance Saja is Felix from Stray Kids. I am missing TXT on that list, but this just felt like the right combo for me. Overall, I really liked this movie. I thought it was super fun. Definitely a joy, as most people I follow, K-pop stan or not, has fallen in love with this movie. I give it an 8 out of 10. I thought it was really fun. And that is my opinion. That is all of my anime and other things for June and May. So I hope you guys enjoyed. By this time, I will have already been at Smash. You guys will be seeing stuff around SmashCon with this cosplay very, very soon. What is your opinion on everything that I watched and reviewed this past 2 months? Do you guys agree? What were your favorite characters? Who do you think the Saja Boys are based off of? Who do you think Huntrix is based off of? I want to know, all in the comments down below. Give me your suggestions and I might just watch it, like how Mia made me watch Higurashi. But that's for another video. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.